you're gonna break into. On you.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. Across the web, on Fight Now TV, and on radio stations around the world. It's the only daily boxing talk radio show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talking Boxing with Billy C. is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C studio in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero. It's time for Talking Boxing with Billy C. Good morning, good day, good evening. Whenever you listen, hope you're doing all right. Don't forget the show is being brought to you in part by Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service. If you're looking for a limousine and you're someplace in the United States or even Canada, and you want a really hot, and I mean hot driver, you got to give my girl Cat a call, 202-351-7496. That's 202-351-7496. Tell her Billy C sent you. Also, the show's being brought to you in part by Campanaro and Tomkovich. That's right. If you're looking for a lawyer who used the ones that keep my ass out of trouble, that is Campanaro and Tomkovich. 845-221-4099 is how you get a hold of them. That's 845-221-4099. Let Campanaro and Tomkovich knock out your legal problem. 845-221-4099. Don't forget, tell them Billy C sent you, and that I'm going to pick up the consultation fee. Campanaro and Tomkovich, 845-221-4099. And the show's also being brought to you in part by my friends over at the Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls. Hey, man, if you like good people, if you like really good food, and drink specials all the time with live entertainment on Friday, Saturdays, Sundays, and Mondays, well, then the Halftime Bar and Grill is for you. And whether you live in that area, up near Lake George, Queensbury, South Glens Falls, or whether you're visiting because it's a tourist center, check it out. 518-792-4869 to get directions. If you don't know where it is, you can't miss it. It's right on Route 9 in South Glens Falls. 518-792-4869. Don't forget, if you like chicken wings or boneless wings, and if you're a man or woman enough, ask to try the Billy C hot sauce. That's right, man. It's good stuff. But Craig has to be the guy who makes it. Got to ask for Craig to make the Billy C Hot Sauce. 518-792-4869. And finally, the show is being brought to you in part by the Whitehall Athletic Club. If you're looking for a high-class athletic club to join, like a country club, basically. It's got a golf course, it's got swimming, it's got basketball, it's got a weight room, it's got saunas, it's got a restaurant, it's got bars, it's got everything. Check it out, www.whitehallathletic.com. And speaking of whitehallathletic.com, don't forget August 24th, 2 weeks, we got a big boxing event, World Championship. Chevelle Fist of Steel Halbach is going up against Victoria Cisneros for the WIBA World Junior Welterweight title. And you should be getting tickets for that now. Call them direct, 518-832-3663. That's 518-832-3663, Whitehall Athletic Club. Or you can visit their website, www.whitehallathleticlub.com. Give a shout out to my man Jay. He's in Dubai. Isn't everybody like totally rich there? I read somewhere that one of the guys has a Mercedes-Benz, the top-notch two-seater, the most expensive model that Mercedes makes, but it's made out of solid gold. That's wild, because gold is a soft metal. If you're traveling at 80 miles an hour or something, and a big bee hits you, that should put a dent in it or something. I don't know. As we do every day, we're going to reach into the mailbag and pull out some emails and comments that we got. And the first one goes to my man, Given Quality 24. He says, all I know is HBO's gone through plenty of opponents they wanted Floyd to fight when he was up and coming on HBO. Floyd Mayweather Jr. defeated all of those guys before he was in a place to make his own calls and do the pay-per-views. He says when Floyd Mayweather was calling out everyone and their mama, HBO tried to keep him contained and never wanted to entertain him being bigger than Oscar until they had no choice. Floyd Mayweather wanted the WBC belts back in the day and wanted a clean house in each division. Baldomir beat Zab before Floyd Mayweather fought the champ. I know, Given Quality's always throwing in that, he beat Baldomir. Whatever. HBO has always been a company man, a company, a big corporation deal. They have their fighters, and Golden Boy was the good guy. Let's face it, when you look at Floyd Mayweather and you look at, the way he presents himself, even back in the day, if you have a choice, who you gonna pick? You gonna pick the guy that's like wearing the black cowboy hat, or you're gonna wear the guy that's wearing the white cowboy hat? And corporations typically will go towards the good guys, so to speak. And even Mayweather back then had some arrogance about him, but I don't know. I look at it like when he bought himself out of Bob Arum's clutches, when he got out of the Top Rank banner, he really skyrocketed. So I give him more of a business move that got him into that next level. And I got to disagree with you. Once he won his title, I think he's handpicked his opponents, even back on HBO. So that's my opinion. But Given Quality obviously disagrees. He also says, you keep saying no one, but everyone said at the weigh-in that De La Hoya was drained and needed to have an IV to be able to step in the ring come fight night. That's not what I said, man. I said that everyone was saying prior to the weigh-in and prior to the fight, when the fight was signed, he's Given Quality, he's talking about Oscar De La Hoya fighting Manny Pacquiao. Everyone was saying prior to the weigh-in, because nobody saw him. Nobody saw Oscar. Nobody was saying Oscar was drained up until he got on that scale. Then all the excuses came out. I said everyone was saying how he was going to kill Manny Pacquiao, which they were. And everyone was saying how much bigger and crazy how much bigger Oscar was, and how crazy it was for Manny to fight him, and everyone was feeling sorry for Manny. That's what it was, man. That's fact. yes, when he stepped on the scale, everyone said, oh, my God, he's drained, he's this, he's that. And then when Manny beat the snot out of him, they all gave the excuse of why he beat the snot out of him. And again, that was, the HBO people, so to speak, even though that, it was part of their pay-per-view. But, that's why, the shock factor came in. So that's what I said. He says he hadn't made 147 in 7 years before taking the Pacquiao fight. Nobody held a gun to his friggin' head to sign the it makes me laugh, especially from you, Given Quality, because, you're so adamant about, when somebody says something negative about Floyd. But now, all of a sudden, you're making it like, because Manny Pacquiao's Manny Pacquiao, and I know you hate him, and I know you hate Bob Arum, so you're putting a twist on this that it's their fault. Listen, Manny was moving up. Manny was getting, moving up in recognition. And Oscar was greedy. Oscar wanted to fight. Oscar offered at 147, and they took it. Listen, if somebody says to Bernard Hopkins, hey, we got a fight for you at 154, and he takes it, and then he drains himself and can't even weigh in and has to be carried around, has to have an IV, all these things you're pointing out about Oscar, is it everyone's fault? It's Bernard's fault if he signs the friggin' paper. Listen, no one has to accept these fights. No one has to accept the fights. Just like on the other side of the coin, Josita Lopez didn't have to accept a fight at 154, even though we all know he's moving up 2 weight classes. He didn't have to accept it. Okay, the money made him accept it. And the money made Oscar kill himself for 147 pounds. And I'm sure the money would make somebody else do the wrong thing to their body. So it's not like, it's the evil Bob Arum made him. Nah, the money made him do it, man. The money made him do it. And then now you capitalize on it. So come on. Nobody, listen, it's like this in every sport. You sign the paper, you shut the F up. End of story. The negotiation time is before you put this pen to this paper. I've said it 1,000,000 times. And then the other thing is the same thing when somebody signs a deal and then they decide that they're getting ripped off and they back out of it and blame the promoter or blame whoever cut the deal. They do it in sports. What's his name? Did it in boxing when he wouldn't fight Saul Alvarez. I can't think of his name right now, but the jailbird out of Texas. Come on, man, come on. You sign the contract, you fight the fight. James Kirkland, obviously, it just popped into my head. I couldn't think of it there for a second, but give me a break. And speaking of break, I got to take one right now.
If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Roselli Enterprises. Roselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all. Dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flowboys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Roselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RoselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the #1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the ideal computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the number 15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IBO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the number 15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at IBOBoxing.com.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that
That's my face. I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
As a young boy, all Billy C dreamed about was one day having his own catchphrase.
And we're back. And we're back.
One boy, one dream, one day, everyone will say.
And we're back. 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 And we're back.
Catchphrase coming soon to a theater near you.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. Don't forget about Talking New York Sports with Billy C and Brooklyn Mike. Saturday mornings, 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time, right here on BillyCBoxing.com. Just another show. And speaking of shows, man, check out the other shows on the site. You know, we don't get a chance to talk about it much, but we're actively expanding some of the other shows on all of our networks. So check that out. There's a section on the website that you got to look at. And while you're at it, support our linked sites. That's right. All the websites that we have linked under our links, support them. We do. So, I'm talking. We got the mailbag open here, and we got Given Quality. He goes on to say, and I just want to finish that thought. I can't stand when people complain about a contract after they sign it. Or worse, fans complain about the contract when their sports figure, whether it be boxing or baseball or football or whatever, after their sports figure, idol, whatever you want to call them, signs a contract. Then they make excuses. Like Given Quality's actually making for Oscar De La Hoya, which I didn't even realize that he was a fan. I think he's just using it as an example. But anyway, he goes on to say, no version of Manny Pacquiao could have defeated Floyd Mayweather Jr., not even that old juiced-up Pacquiao. He says, there's no reason Pacquiao should have lost his mojo. Yeah, baby. Austin Powers, right? Because, the fat bastard took it out, remember? But he says there's no reason he should have lost his mojo so fast when he didn't even become a so-called great fighter until Floyd retired. That's a matter of opinion. He says, you trying to tell me Pac only had 3 dominant prime years in his career where he's had a real chance to beat Floyd Mayweather? No, I never said that. I think Floyd's had 3 fights recently that have not been dominating, but up to that point, the guy's been a huge dominating factor. He's more exciting than Floyd Mayweather in a million years. Even on his worst night, he's more exciting than Floyd. The only exciting fights I've ever seen of Floyd is his last 2, and even you can argue with that. The last one was more exciting than most of all of his fights. I mean, except for the ones he robbed his opponents, But come on, man. You can't for a minute. I know you like Floyd and everything, but you can't for a minute say that his fights are exciting, or at least all of his fights. And most of Manny's, most of them, have all been very exciting. So, but as usual, thanks for the email. Given Quality, keep them coming. My man Bear, or I think it's a man. He says, "Man, Bear, Pig is alive too." Okay, you got to give an A for creativity on a lot of these handles. He says, on that whole Mexican versus Irish thing, and this is based on one of my thumbs down yesterday on Jose Sulaiman in the WBC, and how all of a sudden the WBC wants to control the amateur boxing too. They think they run pro boxing, but now they want to control the amateur boxing. And oh, by the way, he was mad about the decision because one of his Mexican fighters, lost to Nevin. And he says He says, my man bear pigs is alive too. Says, on that whole Mexican thing, Irish thing, he says, I don't know. I know who didn't know their boxing complained how the Mexican dropped the Irish man in the third round. But the thing is in amateur boxing, you don't get any points for knockdowns. And the Irish man was clearly outboxing the Mexican and got up and continued to outbox him. The fact that the WBC complained about these issues exposes their ignorance about the rules of boxing. Yeah. I agree with Pig. The bottom line is they obviously don't understand the rules of amateur boxing. And we said that earlier when we were talking about the Olympics that, it's kind of crazy that, a knockdown, basically that punch gets counted just as some little, feather tip-tap punch, So I don't know. But I agree with you, Pig, that the WBC is out there. Basically, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Manophonics says, on the upcoming Ward versus Dawson fight, I really like this fight. As an Andre Ward fan, I know Chad Dawson beat Hopkins and Tarver and Johnson, but the only win I give him full credit for is Adamak, which was back in 06 or 07, I think. He says he's fortunate to be getting this opportunity. There's something about Dawson I don't like. Maybe it's beating old men to make his rep. Shouldn't he avenge his loss to Pascal and take care of Cloud before dropping down a division? I'm not that big of a fan of Dawson either, to be honest with you. There is something about him I don't like. But, I don't blame him for beating up old men. And the reason why I say that is because he kind of got stuck into a rut. He had to fight Hopkins. He had to fight Tarver 2 times. I mean, he was stuck in the business part of boxing with rematch clauses and what have you, and the fake injuries like Bernard Hopkins did, and all of that. So yeah, I think the poor guy kind of lost a couple of years of his prime. However, you got to add another factor in too. He is with Gary Shaw, just like your boy Andre Ward is with Dan Goossen. Both of these fighters are with that second tier, not however you want to call it, whichever way you're moving up or down. But it's not the top level promotion companies. These are two of the guys that don't spend a ton of money promoting their fighters, so they wait around for their fighters to get an opportunity to fight for one of the big boys, and that's how they all make their money. And Andre Ward and Chad Dawson, I think, are victims of this. And just to answer your question, why didn't he avenge the loss against Pascal? Why is he dropping down a weight class to fight Andre Ward? Well, that answer is simple: for the money. And just like I said, because they didn't get the money they wanted from Pascal's promoter up in Montreal, they decide to, combine forces and try and make the money. That is Gary Shaw and Dan Goossen. So, it's all about the money. It's all about the money, especially with the big fights. So, thanks for the email, Manophonics. Now, my man Henrique, he says this is about 50 Cent being interviewed about being a boxing promoter by a magazine, XXL magazine. I've never heard of a Double X magazine. I never heard of it. But it's XXL, I guess. Double extra large. He says they were asking him about being a boxing promoter, and Fit, he says, well, TMT is a promotional company, and it's actually Floyd's idea for me to be involved. He asked me to do things so it could be more comfortable. I had a chance to bring over some great talent. We already got Andre Durrell, Yuriorkis Gamboa, Celestino Caballero, Billy Dibb, and we're currently working with Zeb Judah. So then they asked him if it feels like you've been a promoter with a rap game for years with your marketing and showmanship. What will you bring to boxing as a promoter? And Fitty says, what boxing needs is a younger demographic right now. And he says, Dana White and those guys, as far as the UFC is concerned, 56% of the audience is from 18 to 34 years old, and boxing is 30 and up. To bring a more youthful draw to it and provide a showmanship to actual bouts may allow some of the actual benefits, some of the actual theatrics you see alongside of the WWE. Merge music culture with boxing and pop culture, period. Moms have been taking kids to karate classes forever. When those disciplines, as far as boxing goes, starts getting implemented in earlier stages, you'll find a more youthful interest. Cards that are strong with 36 minutes of entertainment have to be developed into 70. That's it. I like it. I like his comments, and I think that's why it's going to work. Enrique says, I'm glad to see them focusing on the younger demographic into boxing and not leaving it all to the UFC. Also, I look at TMT as a third party in the two-party political system, which we much need. I love the email, Henriquez. Henry, all right? Can I call you Henry? I have said that I think he's going to make an impact on the sport very, very quickly. I have no doubt about it. No doubt about it. But anyway, I got no doubt about taking a break right now. And then when I come back, I got a couple of more emails to comment on. All of that's coming up in 2.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio.
He would scoff at a stretcher, that man, I would
think. You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. From upstate New York in the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And tell him Billy C sent ya.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C, the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C, damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Test 1 2. My fellow Americans, good evening. Welcome back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It's great to be here discussing the sweet science with everybody. I love boxing. I love talking boxing. It's what I do.
Bill.
Wait, what?
Bill.
Why are you interrupting me? Wait, what?
Wrong.
What's the problem?
Billy C.
I did not have...
We're gonna have to ask you.
Wrong speech. What do you mean wrong, Billy C? What's going on here? Fine, I'll go. I just wanted to talk some boxing on TPSradio.net. That's all I wanted to do. I don't need your damn show. I'll get my own talking wrestling with the other Billy C. Yeah, that sounds good. I've always been a Hulkamaniac anyway.
Broadcasting live, brother. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. on the mighty TPSradio.net, brother. What you gonna do, brother?
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the LDL replay, but you're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. I want to welcome the Fight Now audience just joining us like they do every day, Monday through Friday. If you don't have Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, then you need to call your local television provider, whether it's satellite dish or cable, and tell them you want Fight Now right now. All the information about the channel can be found on their website, www.fightnow.com. You know, I didn't know Sergio Martinez was a counter pincher. I thought he was a counter puncher. I'm reading the chat room here, and Doc says he's one of the great counter pinchers of all time. Pinchy, pinchy, pinchy. Sounds like a Doberman. Sergio the Doberman pincher. Come on, man. Come on, Dax. You know, get keyboard that works. You how to learn how to spell, bro. Counter pincher. Come on, man. Anyway, Bobby says, good to see a stacked card for once instead of one good fight and a bunch of fillers and preservatives to fill our appetite for a good night of boxing. Rios versus Alvarado is the fight I've wanted to see for a long time, and holy moly, is it going to be more than fireworks. I agree. He says it's going to be explosions, an all-out war. I'd also have to agree with you about Donaire. I haven't seen him perform so well as he's been moving up in weight. He looks scrawnier, slower, and his punches have lost a lot of pop. I agree with that 100%. I said it yesterday. He just hasn't impressed me at all since his last two weight classes. And as far as the fight between Alvarado and Bam Bam Rios, yeah, man, that is going to be a rock'em sock'em phone booth type of a fight. There's no question about that. I mean, you know what's good about that fight is both fighters like to just bang, and it's not exactly going to be a display of the sweet science. We're not going to see any Floyd Mayweather counter-punching greatness or anything like that. What we're going to see is two guys just trying to take each other's head off. And both of them have displayed heart, and both of them are pretty tough guys. So I'm looking forward to that one for sure. Hawk says, I agree that Donaire and Tokashaki and Rios and Alvarado is a great card. Tokashaki doesn't have a big fan following here. He doesn't have a big fan following here. But obviously in Japan it's big. He says, but he's been the man in that division for a long time. I see no cherry picking from Donaire like the haters are falsely trying to label him as. And Rios Alvarado could make for a great fight. I would love to see another fight like Gotti versus Ward. That's a real high bar to set, but the fight is interesting. I can't wait for Martinez versus Chavez Jr. That's a great match. I think it is. I think the Rios Alvarado fight is a good one. A Gotti Ward, Gotti Ward was a classic fight. It was clearly a classic fight. Again, not exactly example of the sweet science, but very entertaining and fan friendly, which we all love. And as far as Martinez and Chavez Jr., I absolutely love the fight. I really do. I think that Chavez Jr. is going to shock everybody, but we'll wait. We'll have to wait and see. So. You never know. But thanks for all the emails. Don't forget, we're going to be doing a couple of shows coming up. August 24th, we're scheduled to do a live broadcast right here on BillyCBoxing.com on LDL TV. It's going to be coming at you from the Whitehall Athletic Club in Whitehall, New York, the birthplace of the United States Navy. All happening August 24th. Get yourself some tickets. You can call 518-832-3663. 518-832-3663, or visit their website, www.whitehallathleticlub.com, and get yourself some tickets. If you're going to show up, make sure you let me know, and I'll hook you up with some special seats if you want. It's up to you, man. You can just get regular old tickets. To be honest with you, any seat in the house is good. They got very inexpensive ringside seats, which is the first two rows, $50. Yeah, you're not going to get a better seat in the house. Brand new ring, brand new light system. It's going to be a great time. The food is really good there. The Whitehall Athletic Club has exceptional food for a like a venue like that. That's for sure. I mean, I had one of the best burgers I ever had. And they make them. It's not like they flinging a frozen burger on the grill. Hey, go deep, man. Go deep, man. I'm going to throw you this frozen burger. Just make sure it gets on that grill, will you? Come on. But that's taking place on the 24th. Then September 7th, we're going to be in Tampa at another Alessi Promotions event. Both of those cards have fight posters up on BillyCBoxing.com, so check that out. Then September 8th, we're going to be right back here in this multi-million-dollar studio. And we're going to be doing a post-fight show. Super Saturday is what Fight Now is calling it. We're going to be doing a post-fight show on Fight Now. And we're going to be talking about that exact fight that we were just talking about earlier. Andre Ward against Chad Dawson is going to be the topic of conversation. Then the following Saturday, September 15th, we're going to be doing the Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. fight and the Sergio Martinez in a fight that, I think is going to be an entertaining one. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I do. I think it's going to be very good. I think Martinez is going to shock everyone. I do. I think he's going to fight a lot better than people are anticipating him to. A lot of people think he's one-dimensional. He very well may be, but I think he's going to break down. I think he's going to break down Sergio. Every time I hear that name Sergio, it reminds me of I forget what movie it was. I think Chevy Chase and the girl that married Austin Kitchener or whatever, Demi Moore. I think they were in it, and they were like a married couple driving across the state or driving across the country in a BMW, and they had a couple of friends with them, and one of them was named Sergio. Hey, Serge, and they end up getting arrested by like 100 and something. It was the same character. Dan Aykroyd played like oh man, why can't I think of that? Dan Aykroyd played like 5 different parts in that movie. And John Candy. Oh, John Candy was the arresting officer. That's right. And he played a couple of parts too. He was he was the arresting officer. Then he played his sister, which was funny. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, Sergio. Every time I think of Sergio Martinez, I think of that movie. And poor Chevy Chase. A lot of people don't like him, but I do. I do. We got a shot at a gold medal. Yeah, in boxing, we certainly do. We got one shot. Uno. One shot. Clarissa Shields. She's got the shot at the gold. And unfortunately for our amateur program, we got no other shots anywhere else for gold. The other female that made it this far is what's her name? Esparza. She's going to get the bronze. She lost her bid for a gold, but Clarissa Shields, she won in the semifinals when she beat her opponent, and now she's scheduled to fight the Russian Nazida Torlopova. In the gold medal round, I guess. So we'll see what happens. She's going to do a lot for women's boxing. Should she win this gold, she's going to do a lot for herself. I could see her on the Wheaties. I could see her on a Wheaties box easy. If she's not already on the Wheaties box. Does that still have any juice to it? Years ago, the Olympians. if they made it to the Wheaties box, that was something. Remember that little pain in the ass? What was her name? Mary Lou Retna. Or Retina. Isn't that like your eye? It's like a connection to boxing, right? Retina. Mary Lou Retna. Retin. I don't know. What's her name? Betting on Retin. Yeah. No, Mary Lou, man. She was, that's bouncy little bing, 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 bing. Winning medals on the Wheaties box. It's like, geez, go away, Mary Lou. I don't know. I always liked the skater. No, not the one that got her leg broken. The one that paid to have the leg broken. I liked her. I can't think of her name. She used to box. The villain of ice skating, But she used to box. She was a beer drinking, cigarette smoking ice skater. What a difference. Usually you think of these athletes as wholesome Ivory Girl, like the one she broke the leg on. I can't think of any names this morning. I'm out of it. But she was the bad one, and she was really good, but she fell apart. She boxed too, but and then you have what's his name, the guy from the Subway commercial. No, not Mike Lee, the swimmer. He's winning. He's won more golds than anybody. Fort Knox is at his house. And somebody told me, which I don't know if it's true or not, but somebody told me that. He wants to. Why can't I think of his name? I'm like drawing blank right now with names today. But who's the swimmer? Come on, somebody help me out. All right, Tanya Harding. Good. Thank God Elias from Wisconsin's been coming in. Tanya Harding was the evil skater who I loved, and Nancy Kerrigan was the wholesome Ivory Girl that got her leg broken by Tanya Harding's henchman. I'll never forget that. That was fantastic. I mean, it was terrible, but it was a fantastic story. And Phelps, right. Phelps, Michael Phelps. He's the swimmer, and apparently he's gotten more golds than anybody in the history of the Olympics for the United States. And somebody told me that he wants to melt down all of his gold medals and make like one bar, like a gold bar full of his medals. I mean, how stupid is that? Maybe all that, those preservatives and all that garbage meat he's been eating at Subway is affecting his brain process. How his brain processes information. That's a stupid thing to say. And Mike Lee, the boxer, the Notre Dame superstar, who's 10-0 now. He's more people know him from the Subway commercials. I mean, listen, there's never going to be another Jarrett, right? Jarrett's the man. I was 700 pounds, and then I started eating Subway, and I lost weight. So everybody says, "Oh, this is great. Can lose weight just by eating Subway." Come on, man. They left out the part that he only had like one Subway sandwich a day. Didn't have anything else, and ran 9 miles, every couple of hours. But anyway, congratulations to Clarissa Shields. At least we got somebody making some headway in the Olympics, and not only is she doing that, but she's doing it with some style. She's kind of a little outspoken. She's banging people. She's interesting. And I think not only is she going to end up on the Wheaties box and help her own career, I think she's really going to catapult not only women's boxing, but the sport of boxing. Remember something. In boxing, really, I don't think we should have this division. I don't think we should say, well, women's boxing and men's boxing. Of course, they can't fight each other. But neither can a featherweight and a heavyweight. So, there's definitely no issue there as far as I'm concerned. But I think that if her popularity grows after she wins the gold, or even if she doesn't win the gold, the way it sits right now, I think she's going to help professional boxing. And I wonder, she's only 17 years old. Is she going to stick around for another Olympics, or does she turn pro? what is it? Naz Nadizhda. I can't say her first name, but I know her last name is Torlopova. That I can say. Torlopova. She's the Russian girl. Remember the Russian, talk about steroids, right? Now, I'm not saying they take steroids, but I'm just saying back in the day, back in the 80s and not early 90s, man, those Russian athletes, the female athletes, look like you wouldn't want to meet any of them in a dark alley. Oh, my goodness. They'll kick the crap out of you. Especially the weightlifters. Come on. They had beards and stuff. They weren't even... I don't know, man. I don't know. But, every time I think of a female Russian athlete, I think of some bruiser. So Clarissa's in for it. She's in for a tough match. Now, I know my Italian man... which I forget his name, but he's in the finals. He's fighting for a gold, I think, against a Russian. Russians do well with the boxing, like the Cubans. But it's almost not fair for us, the United States, because we, these guys are considered amateurs, but they're fighting, world level opposition all the time with these tournaments that they fight in. And, our fighters, because they make some money, they're not allowed to compete. It would be nice to do what they do with basketball, and let these fighters fight for, represent their own countries, like, let's say Manny Pacquiao representing the Philippines or, somebody else representing, their home country. It wouldn't happen in boxing because then they couldn't make the money, right? What if Floyd got in and him and Manny, all of a sudden they meet, and it becomes a United States versus Philippines thing. So all of us that, all of us, people like me who don't like Floyd, now you got to vote for Floyd, right? You got to root for him, because it's a country thing, United States against Philippines, all that happy stuff. But anyway, Dax Khan's going to be calling in here in a minute. I guess he hasn't been looking at his clock. He's too busy typing in the chat room, chatting with all the people in the chat room. And hey, maybe his phone's not working. I don't know. But if I were him, I'd be calling in. But did you see... I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, but... something that really irks me when a sanctioning body has an interim belt, and that's bad enough. When they say, "Oh, well, so and so's got the interim title," that's bad enough, right? But how about the defenses of the interim belt? Isn't that nerve-wracking too? Like when you get a fighter that says, "Oh, he's the interim champion." He won the interim such and such belt from so and so, and to me that means that they get the next shot at the title. But no, next thing you know, they're making interim title defenses. It's just another way for the sanctioning bodies to make some money. Speaking of money, guy's always on the money. Dax Khan joins us. Would you lose track of the time, my man?
I was waiting for a proper introduction.
You just got it.
I did lose track of the time. Usually I'm so used to coming in after a commercial break, so.
So what's going, man? How you doing?
I'm good. How's everybody doing today?
Not too bad, not too bad. What do you think of Clarissa winning or getting an opportunity for the gold?
I think it's great. I just think it's kind of embarrassing for the men, no?
Yeah.
After our last three male Olympic teams have been pretty bad.
Well, do you think it's time to revamp our amateur program? I mean, it's hard to say that because Clarissa's doing so well, but I think that you got to put an asterisk next to that. I mean, is it time to revisit the amateur program?
It's been time for, I can't even name how long. I can just give a little inside tip on this. When I used to work with a young man who was the top JO super heavyweight in the country for 4 years in a row, who's now a professional fighter and went to North Michigan University on a boxing scholarship, Trevor Bryant. Twice he went out to the Olympic Training Center to help them train to get ready for 2 prior Olympic Games. And just the way they run some of the things out there is pretty bad. I leave it in the hands of the people who are running the facility and the trainers, and I can't leave it in the hands of the fighters, because these fighters seem to excel so much better before they get with these Olympic team trainers. All of a sudden they turn into new guys. So yeah, it's definitely time to revamp that.
You know, and then you got these fighters that, you know, have fought in the Olympics, and they're not, you know, in the past, and they're just not living up to expectations, or we're not seeing them because they're being held back as much as they are, like you know, Deontay Wilder and Demetrius Andrade, and even Danny O'Connor, who was an alternate. You know, this is a guy that was on a fast track, and all of a sudden he loses, and now, like this weekend, he's fighting a very ordinary, even below ordinary, James Ventry. So I mean, I don't think they're living up to expectations.
Everybody, this is how I look at it, Billy. Everybody, as you made a great point on how these guys are held back. I think whether it be the fighters, the promoters, the managers, the family of these young men when they first turn pro, everybody sees Oscar De La Hoya, the golden boy. Everybody thinks that because you're in the Olympics, whether you win a medal or you should, you know, be one of the top stars that are close eyes kept on during them games, you're going to make that mega money, you're going to walk right into boxing, and you're going to be a superstar with massive sign-on bonuses and that. I got news for you. Oscar De La Hoya could fight. Oscar De La Hoya was a sensational amateur, and when Oscar De La Hoya turned pro, he was darn good, and he was walking through guys. But everybody just thinks that they're entitled to that, and they're mismanaged and mispromoted and held back, and it hurts them more than it helps them.
Well, I think the analogy of if you take another sport, football, baseball, basketball, whatever, and you say, well, if the team always plays the worst team in their league, do they get better? And the answer is no. And what makes it different than boxing? You know, if you're constantly fighting lesser opposition, how do you get better?
Rocky Juarez, perfect example.
Yeah, Rocky Juarez. Deontay Wilder comes to mind. Now, he at least did well against Kurtz and Manswell this last week. But the thing is that what Kurtz and Manswell showed up, I didn't see the fight, but he annihilated him in one round. You know, so just like he's been doing with all the other fighters that he's had. Now, I said that Manswell was going to be the best and the highest level opposition that he's faced in whatever 30 fights or however many he's had, 33. But we don't know. Manswell's been known to come in out of shape.
Manswell, no disrespect to him, he's a tough guy. Like you said, he's been known to come in out of shape. Depending on what version of him comes in, would depend on what kind of a quality of fight you're getting. We don't know what version of him really showed up. But on top of that, eventually, Wilder's going to have to fight one of these top-level guys, regardless of what you say about the American fighters. He's going to have to fight a guy like Seth Mitchell. He's going to have to fight a Bryant Jennings. God forbid he should step in with a Chris Areola.
Right. Well,
that's the end of his career.
Well, the other thing is that, unfortunately, in my opinion, he should be a cruiserweight anyway. Yes, he's 6'7" or however big, but he's skinny. I don't think he weighs much more than 215 pounds.
I compare him to Audley Harrison. I made that comparison last week. So that's how his career is going to be. A guy with all these expectations, amateur fighter, even though he wasn't as good as an amateur as Audley was. And then he became a pro, did really well in the beginning, and then the first time he stepped up, he flopped and fell on his face and became a joke. There's a reason why, worldwide, Audley Harrison is known as Fraudley Harrison. Sometimes people should take both examples. They should take the examples of the top-level guys, the guys that succeed and do right, and they should also use the example of the guy that fell on his face. Stay away from what the guy fell on his face and don't expect what that top-level guy does automatically. Come somewhere in the middle, and you can make an agreement and, be a little more successful. There's no in-between with these guys, Bill, and they're hurting themselves, they're hurting the sport. Hopefully somebody sees the light and they do the right thing.
Yeah, I think what it is, when especially with the kids that come out of the Olympics, I think that the Olympic pedigree is worth money, and the promoters sign them, and whereas they would sign a kid that maybe didn't have the amateur pedigree like that, an Olympic pedigree, they don't get the money up front that the Olympians do. And I think that it's just an investment that the promoters try to protect, and And with that said, Golden Boy has announced a couple weeks ago that they have a contract, a partnership with CBS Sports to broadcast these young Olympians that turn pro. And the way they worded it was the standout Olympians. You know, I was nervous that they were only going to show United States fighters, but now, I mean, they obviously can't because we didn't even get any medals aside from the two female medals that were guaranteed.
You did something earlier today on this show, Billy, that answered so many of those questions. When you sat there and you were talking about Michael Phelps and you were talking about Carrigan, you were talking about all the other Olympic athletes or amateur program athletes.
The ones I couldn't think of. The ones
you know why these promoters want them? Because all the promotion, advertising, and the build-up is done for them. They don't have to pay a dime. These guys have already done Subway commercials. They've already done commercials for magazines and whatever have you. So they've already been exposed to the people who don't even watch the Olympics, you know, and the casual fight fan. It's all been done for them. You know, promoters, they're cheap.
No,
I'm sorry to say, and that's my words, not Billy C's.
No, my words too, because I agree with you, and I think that's one of the negative things about our sport. You got promoters who don't promote. I've said that many times, you know, and that's a great point you just made, and you're right. You know, they even though I couldn't remember any of their names there for a second, but that's not.
But you knew the faces,
right?
You know?
and
that's all these people need to see, the face. They may not remember the name, but you know what? They'll remember the face.
No,
How many people? Why was Oscar De La Hoya, Bill, the biggest pay-per-view star in boxing up until recently, Floyd Mayweather, the history of boxing? Why? Because every woman, every kid, people who never seen a fight knew who Oscar De La Hoya was.
Right. Well, you know what was more important than remembering the face? I remembered the products.
Yeah.
You remember, and that's what the you know, any of these guys that made the decision to pay these guys, they're happy because here I am forgetting the name, but I remember the product. Subway, Wheaties.
I was going to type in the chat room, but I didn't want to misspell nothing and leave myself open for another joke.
There you go.
About, Bill, you do know that nobody's cleared with me that we're going to plug these things on the air, right? Because I haven't got a check from anybody. So,
well, Subway.
All the free advertising you just gave away.
The Subway, I'm hoping maybe they throw me a sandwich or something at Subway, you know. But, you know, with the Subway, with Mike Lee, you know, I had my friends calling me that aren't big boxing fans. They're going, who's this boxer, man? He's a world champion. He's this, he's that. I mean, he already had the misconception that he was a world champion. I go, he's a college fighter that really hasn't fought anybody. He's got 10 fights under his belt, you know, and, you know, nothing special. Can you stick around for a few more minutes?
Absolutely. And right before we go, just everybody think about this. Mike Lee's promoter was smiling ear to ear, and who was doing all the work for him?
Jared from Subway. Jared from Subway, you know, but and Layla.
Jared should step in the ring for him every now and then too. But
Layla, I think is on those too. Layla Ali, she's still making more money. She hasn't even thought about boxing for years. But anyway, listen, Dax Khan is with us. He's going to stick around. We'll be right back.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs. And yes, even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing apparel is the perfect gift for the boxing fan in your life. Log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TalkinBoxing.com and place your order today.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out their ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
Hit Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh? What?
We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
As Billy C sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing Studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C show. He's Billy C, and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel, and if you don't have Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, you need to call your local television provider and tell them that you want Fight Now right now. For all the information about the channel, you can visit their website, www.fightnow.com. And speaking of now, joining us is Dax Khan. And he's got his boxing weekend roundup. It's a slow weekend, huh?
It is a slow weekend, but there are some good fights out there that more or less that are going to be for the boxing purists or the people that really follow the sport. But it's some good fights out there nonetheless that I like. Starting off this week, an unusual country to start off in is Australia. Australia Fox TV on Friday is going to have a fun main event between two veteran fighters. When welterweight Lovemore and Dew takes on Gary St. Clair, they'll be battling for the vacant WBF welterweight title and the vacant IBF Pan Pacific welterweight title. Also on that card is lightweight prospect Corey McDonald stepping in against Robert Liero. Friday night fights this weekend, we have Darby Perez taking on Bahadur Mamajanov in the main event as a lightweight attraction. And in super bantamweight, we have Chris Abelos taking on Yenifel Vicente. That should be another good fight, in my opinion. Saturday, August 11th, Samson Boxing is having a card in Dominican Republic in the IBF Super Bantamweight Female Championship is going to be decided when Katie Wilson-Castillo defends against Krista Hoy. On the undercard, we're going to have Julio de Jesus taking on Victor Manuel Cuello, and Argenis Lopez is going to take on Ramon Duran. And then also on Saturday, we're going to have welterweight Daniel Sandoval taking on Dennis Lorente, and super bantamweight, and a guy whose name seems to be popping up everywhere over these last 4 months, Victor Terrazas, who's going to be taking on Raul Morales. And that's going to be on Mexican Azteca TV. And on Saturday the 11th, also on Mexico Televisa, Canelo Promotions is going to have a card working with them out of Tamaulipas, Mexico. Lightweight Daniel Estrada is going to be taking on Adrian Verdugo. That's going to be for the vacant WBC Silver Lightweight Championship. And the vacant WBC International Super Bantamweight title is going to be on the line when Hugo Fidel Cazares takes on Daniel Diaz. Also unbeaten Super Bantamweight Dennis Contreras is going to be on the card. And lightweight prospect Carlos Zarate Jr., a guy who, Bill, it seems like every time he fights, there seems to be more drama and trouble outside the ring than in the ring with his followers. Don't forget on Saturday as well on Telefutura, middleweight fight that I'm personally looking forward to. I know a lot of people aren't, but me, I think it's a good matchup. Brian Vera is going to be taking on Sergio Mora. They're going to be battling for the vacant WBO, NABO middleweight title. On the undercard, featherweight Antonio Escalante, is going to be taking on Leolino Miranda. And last but not least, a fight that I'm interested in, and Bill, you should be interested in yourself. You know her. I know her. A great friend of ours. Helen Joseph, the Iron Lady, she's going to be battling for the IBF Female Featherweight Championship against Tahina Santana. And that's going to be in the Dominican Republic, promoted by Samson Boxing as well. Other than that, the weekend's pretty sporadic. There's not much else to talk about.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've uncovered some fights that I wasn't even aware of, like Gary St. Clair. I didn't even realize he was still fighting, you know, but that's good
I
stuff.
didn't even realize Lovemore and Dew was still fighting. Hey, before we get, happy birthday to a good friend of ours over at the Talking Boxing with Billy C show, Joe Antonacci.
Oh, Joe Antonacci's birthday. You know who somebody else's birthday is today too. Geez, I forget who. Oh, it's yours. It's your birthday.
Mine was yesterday.
Oh, yesterday. I was going to say, wait a minute, somebody else has a birthday. Right, happy birthday to you. It's your birthday.
Yeah, I got the 27-cent birthday bonus.
Yeah. Whoa. There's been a mistake. Nobody was supposed to send you the 27 cents for that. Oh, I forgot all about that. That's right. Yesterday was your birthday.
Maybe that was a bill. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, I wanted to ask you one more thing before I let you go. They announced that Evander Holyfield and Ray Mercer are going to be fighting again. That's right, Holyfield Mercer 2. It's scheduled for February 2nd in obviously next year, 2013, in South Africa. It's part of a tribute to Nelson Mandela. It's a boxing tribute night, and it's being billed as a 4-round exhibition fight. But by the sounds of it, Ray Mercer is going to be ready. We all know Evander's going to be ready. I'm thinking that we might see a pretty good fight between these two guys. First, what's your thought about them fighting in a 4-round exhibition?
Personally, I think just because they're doing a tribute to Nelson Mandela, they shouldn't find fighters that are the same age as Nelson Mandela. But no, I'm not for it at all. In all seriousness, I'm not for it at all. Both those guys should not be in the ring, even for an exhibition. They shouldn't be in the ring. I'm sorry. There comes a point in time, no matter what it is, where you know something, every punch is dangerous. And Evander reached that long ago. Ray, I can't say so much, but you know something, Ray in his last few outings has embarrassed himself. Ray's a quality guy. I would hate to see him get embarrassed again, especially by somebody like Evander. So, no, I'm sorry, I'm against it.
You know, it's funny. And then they're talking about Roy Jones Jr. Against Steve Cunningham. They're trying to get that to happen. You know, that was my little segue. So I guess you're not into something as like a senior type league where you'd have fighters that are, say, 48 to 58 years old. And I'm not talking about looking at old geezers like me out of shape, but I'm talking about guys like Evander Holyfield, who's always been in good shape. And Tim Witherspoon, I remember talking to him not too long ago. He's 56, I think, and he said, he's in great shape. He would have loved to have been able to make a comeback. I mean, do you think there's a demand for that? Obviously, you don't like it, but you think people would want to see it?
Maybe, sure. If people are, in somewhat in shape and competitive, it's not so much the age, Bill. What I have against is the fact that, the condition of the people, and forget about, the physical condition. Sure, Evander Holyfield looks great. He still looks like, he's chiseled out of stone. But listen to him talk. Ever have a conversation with Evander? Ever see him sometimes? He's got the twitches and stuff like that. That man shouldn't be getting hit by popcorn from fans.
Well,
let alone exhibitions. That's the point. That's the point. You reach a certain age, and you know what? We know fighters that are like that when they're 33, 34 years old.
Well, no, Evander's a mean guy. He's kind of man. He's not giving you too much love in here in the chat room. What'd you do to poor Jay?
I don't even know who he is. You know what? The man doesn't even spell his whole name, so he matters none.
He's J-Man. He's in. I thought he was fooling around. I think he better be fooling around. But anyway, I think that there would be an interest if there was. If they were in good shape. I just don't, I remember there was one time that they wanted to have like geezers at Caesars. I thought it was like Larry Holmes against somebody else, and it didn't go over well.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, it was something they wanted to bill it the geezers at Caesars. It was Larry Holmes.
Yeah, now I'm trying. I know I got one of those moments. I'm trying to remember who it was against. But
Murphy's saying
that. Yeah.
Murphy's
I
saying
think they were
Holmes.
both in their 50s at the time.
Yeah, Holmes.
Was it going to be Larry Holmes against George Foreman?
That's what Murph just typed. Yeah, I think he's right. I think that's what it was. The geezers at Caesars, and it never happened. But I don't know, man. I think some of these guys are in good shape, and as long as, and maybe even if they had to wear headgear. I mean, I've talked about that in the past, and I thought that maybe it would sell. I don't know.
If it's competitive, I'm for anything. I'm just not for two guys that shouldn't be in a ring. Period, whether it be at any age in their fight. And again, for the last time, that's my point. It's the point that they shouldn't be in a ring. If that fight was in the United States, if Evander was 10 years younger, I'd say he shouldn't be licensed. Now, if that was Bernard Hopkins, I got no problem with it because why? Bernard Hopkins is a guy who can still go out there, he can still fight. Maybe not that most exciting, but you know what? He doesn't have a problem with getting a punch hit. Doesn't have a problem getting hit either because he's not beat up, he's not punch drunk. Or excuse the expression. I didn't mean to be insulting with that, but guys, I'd have a problem if it was a Roy Jones going in there. Anybody where they're at the point in their time that one punch can mean disaster. Don't be in the ring, exhibition or not.
Well, here's the thing. That's where this situation gets a little dicey because I agree with you. If you got a guy, let's say he's 45 years old, or in Evander's case, he's 50 years old, and he's fighting against a young killer fighter. But if he's fighting against this guy similar in age. And even if you take an extra step, maybe have him wear...
even at his age, Ray Mercer, you get caught with one shot, man. Ray Mercer had that power to turn your lights out and switch that button.
No, I know. But, I mean, even, if let's say that you had him fight in 12 or 16-ounce gloves, maybe with headgear, something like that might be fun. I don't know. It would definitely give them a chance to... It would give some of these guys... I mean, Larry Holmes doesn't need the money, but... some of these guys might. I know Ray Mercer probably does. Evander, he just lost his house. I mean, needing money for guys like that are different than me and you.
Evander didn't have to pay $2.6 million a year in child support, and he knew how to keep it where it was supposed to be. He wouldn't be broke.
I like what one of the listeners said. What's that kid eat? That in 2 years he owed $300,000 in child support. It's like, Jesus. He's supposed to feed her and put clothes on her back. What's she eating? I mean, come on, man. But
it's a man, a guy. A big religious man like that. Meanwhile, he's got kids everywhere. That's Evander. I'm not a favorite of Holyfield anyway. So I am a little biased when it comes to Evander. I just don't like the guy.
I was never a big fan of his. I do respect him. He has. I think
as a fighter, I don't like him as a person.
No, as a person, he's a nasty guy. I mean, he really is. I got to meet him and talk with him last year and a half or so ago in Denmark. And he was just nasty. He didn't smile, But he had the best recuperative powers I've ever seen in a fighter. I mean, when he fought George Foreman, he was all but out, and took Big George that extra 2 seconds to plot across the ring. And by the time he got there, Evander was.
That's all that saved him.
That's right. That's all that saved him.
Big George being slow. I don't even think it was recuperative powers.
All he needed was one more.
That was a monster punch.
No, but it was.
Now, a guy like George, I'd have no problems with stepping in there.
Well, I mean, Evander did have recuperative powers that were unbelievable. Look at the Ruiz fights and, all the fights that he had where he gets rocked real bad and all of a sudden he starts...
Going all the way back to Kawi.
Yeah. Well, that was a long time ago, and that was before he was
a heavyweight.
Before he was probably taking some stuff that you're not allowed to take these days, But anyway, hey, there's a good question for you. I know I'm hanging you up a little longer, but last week we were talking about the ABC, and I tried to ask Joe Santoliquito this yesterday, but I don't think he understood my question.
Not Joe. Come on,
yeah. WADA, the worldwide, the World Anti-Doping Agency, they arguably have the most comprehensive and complete list of banned, performance-enhancing drugs on their website that's available and everything else. Well, last week, the ABC, the Associated Boxing Commissions, adopted using their list for all commissions to test for. And my thought process, Dax, was this. Well, now that we've done this, now that we have a defined list that, everybody can go to and not cry that, I didn't know, that I think it's going to be better. But my main topic of my question for Joe was, do you think that the four big names that got popped over the last few weeks, being Enzo Macronelli, Antonio Tarver, Andre Berto, and of course Lamont Peterson, do they get a kind of a reprieve here? Do they get another chance? I mean, how can you really bring the hammer down on these guys when they can, legitimately say they didn't know?
Did they know or didn't they? They can say.
They could say they didn't.
They could say.
Well, every one of them denied
it.
it.
This conversation, I believe, about a month and a half ago, one day here on the show, where we were speaking to that, and what we were talking about was exactly this: that everybody should go by the same list, and how in some countries what might be considered illegal might be considered legal in another country. In some countries, what you can buy at a CVS store or a GNC store, you might not be able to buy it in another country because another country may have it banned. So there's definitely a step in the right direction. But as far as these guys, all these top athletes have an idea or have a clue what they should or should not be taking.
Well,
in the case of Lamont Peterson, have to go back to your old expression, Lamont, you dummy, because you came out on your own.
Well, the only guy that admitted it was Lamont, because he claimed that he was under prescription from a doctor for the testosterone, and everyone else acted totally shocked. Now, Enzo Macronelli, he contributes it to an over-the-counter / GNC mail-order type place that he bought, a supplement from. But Andre Berto and Antonio Tarver both cried, "We have no idea. I'm shocked that it happened," and both of them were actually asking for the testing. So, you almost got to believe them.
Yeah, almost. You almost got to. But again, as with everything, and we spoke about that before, and you've always said that many times, you have to be responsible for yourself and what you take, what goes in your body and what goes out of your body. I'm sorry, once you reach a certain age, let alone become a certain caliber of athlete, the excuse of, well, I didn't know what they were giving me, or I just took what my trainer gave me, that doesn't fly. I'm sorry. We don't just put into our body something somebody hands us. You ask them, what is it that I'm taking? Whether it be a supplement, whether it be some kind of enhancement drug, whatever the case may be, what is it that I'm taking? So to act surprised, sure, we can all act surprised. I act surprised every time I get paid.
Well,
but hey,
listen.
Again, he must be short on money. But seriously, yeah, I don't go for that. And either way, you were caught. You were caught. You can act surprised all you want. Shane Mosley acted surprised when he was caught all those years ago. Lamont Peterson admitted it, and the fact that Lamont Peterson admitted it, right there says he knew he shouldn't have been taking it.
Well, first of all, that's a gray area about asking the guy. Like, if you're paying a guy to watch out for your nutrition, if you're paying a guy to give you that diet, this is what you're eating today, this is what you're taking here, take these on Mondays, take these on Tuesdays, whatever. The questioning it may not be, especially with some of the fighters' mentalities. They're saying to themselves, well, all I'm going to focus on is boxing. My trainer's going to train me. My nutritionist is going to feed me. My manicurist is going to keep my nails nice. So I mean, that's the lifestyle they get used to. That they rely on the team.
I hate to interrupt you, and I can't believe that I'm actually going to give him credit, because we all know I can't stand giving him credit for anything. But for example, why do you think a guy like Floyd Mayweather is a guy like Floyd Mayweather? You think someone of Floyd Mayweather's caliber would just take something that somebody gave him, whether it be a strength and conditioning coach or whether it be Roger, here, just take this? No. What is it?
No, but that's because Floyd Mayweather controlled. Now we're talking apples and oranges.
Well, that's the whole point. You got to control, whether or not you have people working for you, people handling that, you got to control, you got to know what they're giving you and what they're doing. Your doctor gives you a script. You ask what that script is for, don't you?
Yeah, but the point is, I don't even like doctors, but the point is that when you look at a guy like Floyd Mayweather micromanages his own career 100%. He makes the decisions on training. He makes and that's been my question of when he ever gets in serious trouble, what's going to happen, because he doesn't really listen to anyone else. He makes all these decisions on his own, his business decisions, his boxing decisions, everything. So he's the other end of the spectrum. Then you have the other guys that, like a James Kirkland, who once said, I'm the joystick, my team drives me, I do whatever they tell me. That mentality is also rampant in the sport, probably more so than the people that control it all themselves. And those guys could conceivably, prior to the ABC adopting the WADA list, they could conceivably say, I didn't know. I was paying this guy to do it. And I think that my point is, I think not that I agree with them, but I think they have a legitimate gripe. I just think that from this point forward, you can't use that anymore. And because of those 4 top guys that, kind of got popped, so to speak, I think that the powers that be are going to have to give them a second chance.
Yeah, you have a valid point. I think it all depends on how you look at it. Yes, you do have a valid point, and I can agree with what you're saying. You hire these people, and you're supposed to be able to trust them, and so you take what they're giving you, expecting that they're not going to give you anything that's going to be detrimental, whether it be to your career. And you would expect these people know that if you get tested, you're going to get in trouble. But then again, at the other end of it, yeah, sure, you still have to, you have to drive your own ship. You can't be a guy that as you mentioned with Kirkland, you can't be the joystick that the team plays around with. Another guy to use a perfect example would be Bernard Hopkins, who controls everything in his career, controls everything from what he eats to how he trains, to what time he gets up and what time he goes to bed. So, yeah, it's just very, it's very shady. You said it's a gray area. But now the important thing is we have that list, and there's no excuses from anybody. Whether or not these guys are given a second chance, I don't know. Maybe they should be given a little bit less of a consequence than what they were given. And as far as and given a second chance, yes, but they should be given some sort of reprimand. They shouldn't get off scot-free.
No, I don't know. I don't know about scot-free, but anyway, Dax, I appreciate you spending some extra time. I know you're still under the weather, and we hope you get well soon, my man.
All right, thanks a lot. Everybody have a great weekend. Sorry the fights are limited, but talk to you next week.
Yeah, like you have hey, next time just make sure you schedule more, all right, Dax? That's all there is to it.
Hey, next time let the promoter do the scheduling. I'm just telling them what's going on.
Right.
Next time I'll ask Jay, hey, what should I say?
Right. All right, brother. Take care.
All right, talk to you later.
That's Dax Khan giving us his boxing schedule roundup and his thoughts. I just think that I've dragged this question on for 2 days now, and maybe I'm the only one thinking that way. I know Joe Santoliquito, the infamous Joe Santoliquito, had a rough time spitting out the words yesterday, but I think the bottom line is that, the ABC, and I was saying this before. I kept saying, and trust me when I say this, I want everybody to be clean. I want the playing field to be even. So it's not like I'm saying or even suggesting that it's okay for these guys to take performance-enhancing drugs. Unless they all did, then it's an even playing field. But I'm not even suggesting that. But I had said weeks and weeks ago, months ago, that it's really hard to, police something that there was very limited or actually no education on. And even when when Gabe Montoya came out with his stories and stuff on performance-enhancing drugs, it was met with 50-50. Some people supported, some people didn't. I just think that in general we weren't educated enough, and neither are the fighters. The fighters can cry, I didn't know, like I was saying last weekend, and it's true. I mean, you could say that, like Dax just said, you could police everything that you put in your body, but then again, there's guys that don't. Floyd Mayweather, he's on one side of the spectrum. He watches everything he does on his own, and maybe a guy like Andre Berto is on the other side. Hey, this guy says to take a red one, a blue one, and a green one every day. I take it. I don't know what it is, So I mean, all I'm saying is that since the ABC adopted the WADA drug list, which was last week, the week before, whenever it was, now you have a definitive list that all commissions can test. They've also opened up the doors where, you don't have to have NADA or WADA doing the drug testing. You don't have to spend, $20,000 for one and $7,000 for another to do the Olympic-style testing. Now the commissions test for it or whatever, or if they have the rule where they test for it or not. Either way, they have a list to go by, So my point is that I think it was a great step in the right direction. But we still have this open issue of 4, and we just are talking about the 4 most popular fighters that have been busted, have been popped using performance-enhancing drugs for whatever the reason. There's 4 main guys. I mean, we don't know how extensive the list is, for these other people, So I'm just saying that, with the 4 main guys, I think that the fact that the ABC adopted this, and it was all after the 4 guys got busted, that we have to take that in consideration when they're handing down, penalties or fines or whatever they're going to do. That's just my opinion. I just think that we're going to have to do that. But anyway, one last thing before I take a break. We just mentioned actually quickly about a fight that's taken place, or a fighter, but I'll make a reminder. Audley Harrison, or commonly known as Fraudly Embarrassing, he's going to be taking on David Price. And I saw an interesting article about Audley Harrison on a English paper, from England, not just in English. It was from England. And he says, according to Audley Harrison, he feels that David Price is a tougher opponent than Tyson Fury would have been. And he also realizes that this is his last hurrah. This guy's had a lot more chances than most. He's had more lives in boxing than a cat. So I agree this is his last chance. But we all thought the David Haye fight was his last chance. So we'll see what happens. I think that David Price is an easier opponent than Tyson Fury. And I'll tell you why. I think David Price, although he looks good and seems to have a little more coordination as far as I'm concerned, I think his chin is even more suspect than Tyson Fury's. And speaking of Tyson Fury, he's going to be on our show. That's right. He's going to be coming on a show again. I just was talking with his people yesterday, and he's going to be on the show. I didn't get the schedule, but it might be next week. So stay tuned for that. Hey, speaking of staying tuned, stay tuned for a break because they're coming up right now.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
Mike Tyson looked like he put on some pounds. He was fat. He went into McDonald's and he just said to them, hey, give me 6 of everything on the menu. He put on 2 watches and covered 2 time zones. I'm talking fat here. Got on a scale the other day and it said, come on, one of you guys got to get off. Last thing I heard is that he jumped into the ocean and he left a ring around the continent. He's fat.
Boxing with Billy C.
Time for another major in golf. This time it's across the pond for the Open Championship. What's at stake? That's next on Sports Shorts with me, the Sports Princess.
Want to put some wild into your weekend? Come to the all-new Mesquite Pro Rodeo. Corral seats start at just $12, and kids are always half price. Get your tickets at Kroger and save $5. This weekend, meet the rodeo legends. Tractor Supply sponsors the Neil Gay Cowboy Reunion. The city ends and the Wild West begins at cool air-conditioned Mesquite Arena, I-635 and Exit 4, 7:30 Friday and Saturday. Mesquite is the official rodeo capital of Texas.
Filled with tricky pot bunkers that you have to climb into, no less, this year's Open at Royal Lytham and St. Anne's in England is certain to be tough, even for the most seasoned professional golfer. Tiger Woods, who hasn't won a major in 4 years, is looking to pick up his 15th career title. The last American to win at Royal Lytham was David Duval in 2001. Should Woods win, it would be his 4th Open, the last back in 2006. The Americans and the Europeans and everybody else in between know that this is no walk in the park, and with rain expected, they'll need more than umbrellas and a good caddy to navigate this 7,086-yard course that rewards great ball striking and punishes the rest. Whoever wins the Claret Jug will no doubt be playing some target golf at this major. I'm the Sports Princess with Sports Shorts.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young.
And he's got martinis.
So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
the one, the only Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the number one show in the country, talking boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in, because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
St. Jimmy's coming down across the alleyway, up on the boulevard like a zip gun on parade. Lights up the silhouette, he's in some net, coming at you on the count of one.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel, and if you don't have Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, you got to call your local television provider and tell them that you want it. That's it, man. You ask and ye shall receive. Some guy said that once. He's got a beard and sandals. But in any event, call your local television provider and tell them that you want Fight Now. For all the information about the channel, you can visit their website, www.fightnow.com. You know, Jay, who's in the chat room, J-Man, who is in Dubai right now. I guess they, eat gold there. It's so rich. But he says, I wish I could have Rigondeaux on the show. You know, he just reminded me, we've had so many guests over the years. We're in our 9th year, right? We've had so many guests over the years. You know, we had Rigondeaux and even Yuriorkis Gamboa on the show. When they first came over here on the Coconut Raft. I remember Gamboa literally had just landed in Miami, and he was working with a different guy at the time. It was a German trainer/promoter that was actually an interpreter. We had him on, and we have all those. We have all those interviews archived somewhere. You know, I even being a computer, my background is in IT, and even having that background, it kind of slipped my mind that maybe, just maybe, I should have labeled some of those shows. We have them all, and we wish we had somebody that could actually go through them and cut out all that stuff. But, hey, they got to do it for less than Dax's salary, which is nothing. So, I like the idea of a senior league in boxing, as long as they're in shape. If they pass all the tests and they're in shape, I wouldn't want to see my boobies bouncing around in a ring, that's for sure. But these guys are in good shape. Evander Holyfield's in good shape. Ray Mercer never looked like he was in good shape, so he's an exception to the rule. But I don't know. I think that it would be cool, to tell you the truth. But who knows? We'll have to wait and see what goes on with the with this event that's taking place in February. But anyway, I even know a couple of guys. We had Nicky Furlano on, a Canadian champion. He also fought for a world title, against the Cuban Hawk, Aaron Pryor. But, or just the Hawk, right? The Cuban Hawk was somebody else. Was he the Cuban Hawk or just the Hawk? I think it was the Cuban Hawk. But anyway, is a guy that retired when he was 28, Nick Furlano. He got a win after the prior fight, and a knockout win. And then his management at 20 years old said, "You know what? You lost it. You lost it. See ya." So it's like, huh, crazy. This whole thing about, and I start to say it, this whole thing about, interim belts and making defenses of interim belts. Isn't that sickening? I know we've talked about this in the past, but, an interim belt, in my opinion, IMO. I'm trying to get used to the lingo. My uncle, says, he gets a phone, and I thought it was kind of funny. He says, yeah, I'm looking at this phone, and everybody's texting me, and I said this, and she said that, and my daughter said this, and this one and that. And then, look, she calls me a lame-o. When I look at the thing, I go, she didn't call you a lame-o. That stands for laugh my ass off. And he went, oh, see, I don't even know. So here I am. I'm starting to learn what they are. It just popped in my frazzled mind. But these interim belt defenses are sickening. In my opinion, IMO. There I go again. I'm stuck in that rut. But the thing is this: an interim belt, IMO, should be really only for an extreme situation, like for example, a fighter injures himself and he's the champion and he can't fight for 6 months or a year. Then I think it's okay to issue an interim belt to have the number 1 and number 2 guy fight for that belt, and I think it should be specific. I think that you should have the number 1 and number 2 ranked contender fight for the interim belt if the champ is injured and not able to fight. Then, yes, if the champion was still not able to come back, after 9 months or it's getting close to a year, whatever. Then if it was a mandatory defense and that fighter, number 1 fights number 2, let's say number 2 beats number 1, now he's the interim belt holder. Well, now he makes another defense of the interim belt while he's holding on to the belt until the champion is well enough to fight. Then I think that first fight back should be against that guy. No, not a tune-up, because that's what they do now. But they call that a different belt, remember? Now they have that belt called champion and recess belt. So we actually have all these friggin' belts that these sanctioning bodies are making money on, and you have a champion, you have an interim champion, you have a super champion. That's 3 champions from one sanctioning body in one weight class. So middleweight champion, middleweight super champion, middleweight interim champion, and oh, by the way, the middleweight hurt his finger, so he can't fight. So now we got a middleweight champion in recess. 4 champions from one sanctioning body. And then they all have to try and get a shot at just a regular old champion. And the WBC who puts themselves on this high horse, which is a joke to me, because they're the second to worst sanctioning body in my opinion. They say they don't have interim belts. They don't have super belts. No, they don't, because they name them different. They name them silver belt is their interim belt, and diamond belt is their super belt. But my question about the WBC is, what the hell did Sergio... And nobody was able to answer this. I asked you guys, the listeners and viewers, to email me, because I certainly don't remember. But what the hell reason did they have to strip Sergio Martinez? Or better yet, they didn't strip him. They elevated him to diamond-studded super-duper mongoose champion. And then they made him wait in line to get a shot at the title that they took away from him, that Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. I forget the chain of events. You get elevated, and then you got to wait in line to fight for a title that technically is below what you already have. Shouldn't it be the other way around? Shouldn't Chavez Jr. have had the opportunity to fight for his elevated title, for Martinez's elevated title? But that's not what happened. That's not what happened. So I think it's a joke. I really do. But anyway, PR Best, which stands for Puerto Rican Best, it's a promotional company, and guess where they're located? Puerto Rico. That's right. Roman Rocky Martinez, he's going to be fighting on the undercard of the Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Sergio Martinez fight on September 15th. But they announced now that Ivan Iron Boy Calderon is going to be he's going to be getting a world title shot in October. And so we'll have to wait and see when he fights Moses Fuentes, who's 15-1. That was originally supposed to be a little earlier as well, but that got pushed back to October 6th. And that same card is going to feature Wilfredo Vasquez Jr. against Rafael Marquez. Now, remember, that was rescheduled because of an injury, so a lot of rescheduling. My man Gato Figueroa, that's right, Francisco Figueroa, who is a good friend of mine, man. I love this kid. He's got a record of 20 wins, 4 losses, and a draw. Now, the last time we all saw him, at least on television, wasn't a really good one, because he was practically killed in the ring on ESPN Friday Night Fights. I forget, one of these brainiacs in the chat room will remember who the hell laid him out. Who laid him out? Oh, my girl Kaylee is saying hello to me. Hi, Kaylee. Who laid out Gato Figueroa? One of you guys tell me. But anyway, the co-main event is going to feature the younger cousin of the guy who just Dave Murphy. I'm on it, PC. The guy who I just watched, I think he was like part Dracula, bite the neck of Grady Brewer on the fights that I called him. By the way, you could check out the replay, I believe, anytime for free, anytime after Friday on LDLTV.com. Randall Bailey. Was it Randall Bailey that almost killed, was that it? Was Randall Bailey almost was the one that killed Francisco Gato Figueroa? Huh. I don't know. I don't think so. But, yeah, Kaylee must have had a little too much to drink yesterday because she can't even spell her name today. It's Jaylee. But anyway, Gato was fighting the guy who wants to change his claim to fame, Brennis Prescott. Yeah, I guess it was. Murphy's confirming it. Bailey knocks him out in 4. Sorry I doubted you, Elias from Wisconsin. I thought maybe the cheese was getting to your head. But anyway, that's going to be a decent little fight. The Rancis Barthélemy is going to be taking on Alejandro Rodriguez in the co-main event. And the main event is Gato Figueroa against Brennis Prescott. That's going to be on, I believe, on Telefutura. So we'll see what happens with that one. Yesterday I started to talk about it a little bit, and I got sidetracked. Here's the thing. Guillermo Jones, they announced yesterday or the day before, I think I touched on it just a little bit, but they announced that he now is going to become actually, I didn't talk about it on this show, I was talking about it on another show, but Guillermo Jones just signed a slew of fighters, a bunch of young fighters, as a manager. Now, he's been approved as a manager and everything else. Here's the guy that is a champion. He's a cruiserweight champion for the WBA. He's also been like the most unbusy or least busy, or what's the word I'm looking for? He hasn't been too active. Yeah. There you go, active. Yeah, he hasn't been. He's the most non-active. Yeah. He's been the most non-active cruiserweight champion. And, so, I mean, if we thought that his focus wasn't on fighting before, the hell's he doing now? I just think, and I was saying this yesterday, I like the fact that fighters, when their active career is over, that they stay in the sport of boxing. I think it's important. I think that it's very important for these fighters to stay in the business. Why? Because we need boxing people in the sport of boxing. Plus, it gives them a job. But what I don't think is that I don't think that they should. I don't think that they should be doing it while they're active. I just don't. I think that realistically, they should be focusing on their boxing career. End of story. Focus on the boxing career. Now, Guillermo Jones could be criticized for being, he could be focusing on one of two things. It would be a conflict of interest. Hey, is he focusing on the young fighters and worrying about their career? Or is he focusing on his career? So if I'm a young fighter and I'm thinking about signing with Guillermo Jones, I might be saying to myself, well, geez, he's going to fight. Is he going to focus on me or is he going to focus on him? So, I don't know if you can really split it. Now, again, I'm going to use Floyd Mayweather as an example. Floyd Mayweather, yes, he's got a promotion company. Yes, they have a management team. But, whether or not he's actually doing it or not, I would think that he's got someone else doing it. I think he's got other people thinking for him, or at least suggesting to him. But we'll see what happens. But anyway. I can't get this thought of I can't get this thought of this Holyfield Mercer fight out of my mind. And I just don't know if exhibition fights were not uncommon. I mean, fighters did it. Jack Johnson fought into almost, I think he was in his 60s. He was definitely in his 60s. He died at 66, but he was in his 60s fighting exhibitions. A lot of the fighters of yesteryear fought. Jem Mace might have even fought close to 70, maybe. I mean, he was, you guys probably never heard of him, but Jem Mace was the gypsy. They call him the gypsy. But he fought way into his 60s. I know that. Late 60s even. So I guess it's okay. But how serious are they? Are they serious fights? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But who knows? So we got one shot at gold in the Olympics. We talked about it earlier. Clarissa Shields out of Detroit. We were all going to be pulling for her. It's today, right? It's today. So don't forget, we got some shows coming up we want you to mark down in your calendar. First and foremost, August 24th, right here on LDL TV. You can check it out. I mean, we're going to be doing a live broadcast for free. That's right, the way webcast should be, for free. And it's going to feature Chevelle Fist of Steel Halbach going up against one of the toughest female fighters in the world today, really, Victoria Cisneros. I think she's, honestly, I mean, I love Chevelle and I work with Chevelle and everything, but Victoria's a very live underdog in this fight. Is too much for me, to be honest with you. But she's a very live underdog. We got a pretty decent little undercard going on too. That's going to be August 24th. So you could tune in on LDL TV to check that out live, beginning 7 p.m. on August 24th. But better yet, I'd love to have you there. We want to sell the place out, and it doesn't seat that many. So if you plan on going up there, and it is an experience, Whitehall. If you've ever been to Canastota for the International Boxing Hall of Fame, and you kind of chuckle when you think of Canastota. If somebody says, "Oh, you've been to Canastota," and then you go, "Yeah, I've been there." Well, what are you laughing for? Well, it's kind of a small town. Yeah, it's a small town, but let me tell you something. It's about 10 times the size of Whitehall, man. Whitehall. There's the Stewarts, and there's a car dealer, and there's a McDonald's, but I don't think there's much else. There's the Armory. I mean, the Whitehall Athletic Club now, too. So, but if you're going to get tickets and go up there, because it's about a half hour from Lake George, which is a mecca, big old city. No, but it's just a tourist place. Yeah, because it's so picturesque in the town of Lake George. But if you're going to go up there, definitely drop me an email, and I'll make sure that we got tickets, special tickets for you. If you're a Billy C listener, you get special tickets. So we'd love to fill the place up, and then you get to watch yourself on TV afterwards, man, because we're going to make sure that everybody gets on. Everybody's going to be on, man. It's going to be one big shoot, one big television shoot. That's August 24th. September 7th, I'll be in Tampa. That's right, beautiful Tampa. Last time I went down there, it was on the heels of the hurricane. That just wiped out Tampa. But, I was there. It was cool, And I'll be back down. We got Silky Wilkie Camford, I think, is going to be the main event on that card. Now, both of those events you can find fight posters on BillyCBoxing.com. So check that out and click the fight poster and find out all the information about the fights. Then on September 8th, the next day, we're going to be doing a post-fight show here on Fight Now TV. It's going to be following up the Andre Ward and Chad Dawson fights, plus the fight, and plus some other fights that are on that day. And then we're scheduled to be out in Las Vegas to broadcast this show for the whole week leading up to the Chavez Jr. and Sergio Martinez fight, which is September 15th. Either way, we will be in Las Vegas at the Fight Now studio doing a post-fight show on not only the Chavez Jr. and Sergio Martinez fight, but also the other fight that's up the street. Remember? I know everybody's forgetting about Saul Alvarez against Josito Lopez. I love Josito Lopez, but I think there's a bad fight for him. Although it's a good fight for his bank account, it's a bad fight for him. But how many of you, show of hands, how many people out there are going to be rooting for Josito Lopez? Is there really anybody out there that, Dax, you just made me, I'm about to throw up. Dax just says, as a middleweight champion, Bernard Hopkins was one of the best ever. Come on, man. Come on. We were talking about this the other day. Listen, you can only be as good as the division you have when you're there. So with all his defenses, 20 defenses, whatever, you give him credit for that, and I'm not going to take that away. But give me a break. Best ever, when you start talking about best ever, you have to start looking at level of opposition, and, best ever, that's when you do get a chance to look at the level of opposition in those weight classes, and by far, he didn't have the top middleweights of all time. Come on, man. Next thing you know, he's going to be saying, I don't care if he had 100 defenses. If he was fighting his sister 20 times. I mean, come on. And don't quote what's his face either. But, next thing you know, Dax is going to be trying to tell me that Lennox Lewis is in the top 5 of all-time heavyweights. Come on, man. Come on. But, that, all you guys are killing me. But, anyway, I don't even know what the hell I was saying anymore. Oh, yeah. Fight Now Studio, September 15th. We'll be talking about the Josito Lopez. Dave-ma, his hand is raised. He's going to be rooting for... Daveman says, my hand's raised. He's going to be rooting for Josito Lopez. I think everyone is. I think everybody is, 8th all-time? Lennox Lewis, 8th all-time heavyweight? You guys are, come on, man. Dave Murphy, you just shocked me. Dax, he just turned 39 yesterday. We can give him a little pass. But you, Murphy, you're 97 years old, for God's sakes. You were around when they invented shoes. Come on, man. Number 8 all time, Lennox Lewis. Come on, man. Let's be real. Who did Lennox Lewis really beat? Come on, Hasim Rahman. Oh yeah, he knocked him out. Who did he beat? Klitschko. Yeah. He beat Klitschko. Before Klitschko was the real Klitschko. Who did Lennox Lewis beat? Don't tell me Mike Tyson, because Mike Tyson was a shell of himself by the time Lennox got to him. Who did he beat? What impressive fight? What impressive fight did he have? Come on. Oh, Murphy's talking Hopkins. Even Hopkins, number 8, Murph. Come on. Look at all the great middleweight division has to be one of the richest divisions in the history of the sport. And you're going to put Bernard Hopkins. Listen, I don't like Bernard Hopkins, but no disrespect. I have him as a Hall of Famer. But top 10 all time? Above guys? Off the top of my head, let's go down some middleweights. Off the top of my head, Stanley Ketchel, Harry Greb, Sugar Ray Robinson, Jake LaMotta, Rocky Graziano. All these middleweights. Jesus, even Hurricane Carter. Maybe not Hurricane Carter, but he was a middleweight. Come on, Marvin Hagler. You're gonna put Bernard Hopkins above all those guys. Mickey Walker, there you go, Mickey Walker. No, when we're talking about Tyson Wilcox, you got to think that he fought everybody that was available to him. I give Tyson the edge. He was bigger than just a fighter. Come on, man. Come on. You guys are killing me. I don't know. Come on, all time. Listen, I don't want to disrespect Hopkins because of how highly I think of him, but come on. Top 10 all-time middleweight. With all of the great Carlos Monzon. Come on. Pinklin Thomas was a Dave Wilcox. What are you doing awake anyway, man? What's Wilcox doing awake? He's got me laughing. Don't make me start doing cartoons with you, Wilcox. He's he's a hey, what about Bone Crusher Smith? How about what's his name? For the IBF when he beat Tony Tucker, huh? There's a class act. What about Tony Tucker? Come on, man. You know? But anyway, you know, Dax, you're never going to win that argument. Maybe if you get me all scotched up and, you know, you're dangling some gorgeous handful of women in front of me, you know, and all I got to do is admit it, then maybe, just maybe I'll do it. But man, you got a lot of work ahead of you, bro.
Wake up. It's time for
It's too early for a trivia question.
Bernard Hopkins, top 10 middleweight of all time. Come on. Today's It's Too Early for a Trivia question. That's the same damn question that we've had for the last 2 weeks. Will somebody save us? Somebody get this book, man. You know, maybe Lonnie Jackson, we need you to help us. Help these guys out. Put them out of their misery, Lonnie. He always comes in at the last minute. Today's It's Too Early for a Trivia question is being sponsored by Gleason's Gym. That's right, the Gleason's Gym in Brooklyn, New York, man. You know, while you're there, have some bread, have a bagel, maybe a slice of pizza, all the good things that Brooklyn's known for. Oh, yeah, and Mike Tyson. But stop by Gleason's. Tell them Billy C sent you. Get a discount. Tell them you want the Billy C discount. 718-797-2872 is the number. 718-797-2872, Gleason's Gym. And let us know if you're doing that boxing fantasy camp. We'd love to talk to all the people that are involved with that. So now what's on the line today for It's Too Early for a Trivia question? It's the same thing that was on the line yesterday and the day before and the day before and the day before and the day before that. The Burt Gilroy story, you know. Gilroy was here. Who's Burt Gilroy? Well, Burt Gilroy was a Scottish boxer. He was actually Italian. They dumped him off in Scotland, and he decided to stick around. You know, the girls were nice, and the food was okay, so, you know, he stuck around. But, Burt Gilroy was not a good didn't have much luck, never really got the shot and that he deserved. But it's a pretty decent story, and it was written by a couple of family members, and it's a good read, and it's definitely good for your collection, courtesy of PrizeFightingBooks.com, and it's going to go to the first person that can get this question right. The question is, who fought in the most fights from 1980 to 1989? Who fought in the most fights from 1980 to 1989? Now, I've given you some hints, but I'm going to give you one here. He's obviously not a guy that won a lot of fights, you know. So, I mean, you know, he fought in the most fights between 1980 and 1989. You know, it's not exactly a Hall of Famer, you know, but his initials begin with a B, his first name, and his last name begins with an S. And I'll even give you, you know what, let me do this. I'm going to give you some more hints, all right? Damn it, because I want to give this book away. His first name begins with a B and ends with an E. His last name begins with an S and ends with an S, and he fought 104 fights. I mean, what do you want me to do? Spell it for you? You guys will still get it wrong. Who fought in the most fights from 1980 to 1989? I just gave you some great hints. Email me the correct answer, Billy at TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com.
This day in boxing history.
And finally, this day in boxing history is being brought to us by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones that keep my ass out of trouble. That is Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call today, 845-221-4099. That's 845-221-4099. Let Campanaro and Tomkovich knock out your legal problem. 845-221-4099. And don't forget to tell them Billy C sent you and that I'm going to pick up the consultation fee. Call Campanaro and Tomkovich today, 845-221-4099. Even if you don't have a legal problem, just swing by their office and say hello to all the gorgeous women they got in the Campanaro and Tomkovich office. 845-221-4099. On this day, August 9th, in 1933, Lou Broulard knocks out Ben Jeeby in the 7th round to win the New York World Middleweight title. Even Lou Broulard was better than Bernard Hopkins in New York City, on this day, August 9th, 1933. Hey, man, that concludes our show for today. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. But I got one more thing to say. You know what it is? You know what it is. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. The Fight Now channel, of course. Call your local television provider right now and tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. It's that simple. Pick up the phone and call them. For all information about Fight Now, visit their website, www.fightnow.com. See you all tomorrow. Ciao, baby.